Welcome guys, welcome to Rich Biz Life's Adventures. Now I'm going to start off with a bit of an apology. Last weekend, I hope you checked out the video, last weekend we went to Stratford upon Avon Racecourse and we was there as a show van with the Built Not Brought group demonstrating our van and the different types of heating systems. Now we had a lot of interest on our recycling shower. Many people was asking us about have we done a video. Now I thought I'd shot this video, for the life of me I can't find the footage, so I need to apologise for that I haven't done a video of me installing the recycling shower. So what this video is all about, it's a short video just running through step by step of how I've done it and a run through of the layout of the showers, the shower system. Now over the winter I am going to rip some of this out and redo it again. I'm fed up with getting underneath the worktop in order to change the filters. I'm going to put it on the drawer system so it pulls out and I can unscrew the filters and change them without having to crouch down under a worktop. You'll see when I get showing you around the system. So anyway, let's get started. Okay guys, we're going to start at the beginning. Now this is my fill point here, so I can fill and drain the shower system with this. But I can fill and drain the cold water side with this. So this is a 22 litre tank, and I can unscrew this section here and add my Epsom salts. I'll explain a bit more about the Epsom salts a bit later. So I can get my hand in there and I can clean the tank out for one, and I can add my Epsom salts in there. So if I can get you round, sorry I'm trying to do this. So my shower drains through that, out the floor and through that pipe and into the tank, through that waste pipe there. Now at the moment that tank is not vented, and the reason why I didn't want to vent it is because as it sucks the water out, I wanted it to create a vacuum with this tank which would suck the water into the drain plug. Now because that pipe doesn't go all the way to the top, it creates an airlock, so I'm going to put a valve on the vent so it lets air out but not in, so as it fills it, it will go all the way to the top and blow air out, but then as it sucks the water out, it'll shut that valve off and then start creating a suction in there so that it creates more suction down the plug hole, if you get what I mean. So anyway, once the water's gone in there out of the shower, it then goes through that blue pipe that you see there, and then it goes through to John Guest gauze traps. And it's only really the first one that gets any rubbish in it, but about every other day or every second or third shower I'll unscrew them and just flick out all the hairs and dust and fabric and that from your socks and all that sort of thing. That's what that catches. Then it goes out of there, up through the floor, and then I'll show you the next bit. Right, then it comes up through the floor there, into the pump, through the accumulator, up into the main first filter, which is your 50 micron. Then that's a 25, then that is a 5. If I was to change that one to a 1, that'd be better than drinking water. Drinking water is only 2 microns. However, the finer you go, the more your pump struggles. So for the sake of a shower, 5 micron is ample enough. So then when it comes out of there, it goes into this T-piece, just there. One side then goes off to your hot water source, and then from your hot water source through this pipe here. It then comes up here into the hot water side of your mixer tap. Then from the other side of the cold side, so from this T-piece, so that goes to your hot water, that's your hot water return, so that is hot, that is cold. I've got to change this out for a blue one. This is your cold water feed. It then goes up to your cold side of your mixer tap. Excuse this, I had irritating little drip, but I did fix it, but I wanted to be sure. Okay, it looks a bit ugly, but I know I fixed it before, but I just wanted to be sure. Anyway, ignore that. So then you got cold, hot water. It then goes up to your shower system, up to your shower head, which is up there. Then it goes in there. We've gone for a fixed shower head because we didn't want it risking falling off and smashing our shower tray. So then once it's gone up to there, that's your mixer tap there. So that's cold, that's hot. In all fairness, if you have it any more than medium, it's too bloody hot. So I'll just demonstrate that now. So that is the shower running. As you can hear, the pump's kicked in. Now I've also put some UV lights. I don't know if you can hear me still. Put some UV lights behind there to penetrate the clear filter systems. And what the UV lights do, it kills the bacteria in the water. Now I am going to get some more powerful ones and put more on there. But for the length of time we have the water in this system for, it doesn't really build up any bacteria anyway. So comes out of there. I mean, that's piping hot. If I put that on hot, you'll soon start seeing the steam coming off of it. So I have to put the bag on the toilet. For some reason it leaks if you don't do that. It leaks into the van. So it just fills that shower system, and as you can see, it goes down the plug hole into that catch tank that's underneath the van, and it just recirculates time and time and time and time again. It's instantaneous filter. So you can see the steam now. I have got an extractor fan, so I'll just switch that. That's now switched on that little fan in there, and I can shut that off as well, just so that when we're not using the shower in the winter, you don't get so much draft through it. So that keeps all it out. Then we got a tambour door for the sake of keeping the water out of the van. So that is piping hot. I mean, that mixer tap is on hot, and I've only had the boiler running 5-10 minutes, and that's already too hot to put your hand underneath safely. So I can mix that with the mixer tap. That's the cold, hot, medium, off. Then the pump kicks out and the lights go out. So I'll just reach across and put the tap on now. So I'm putting the mixer tap on. The pump will kick in. Now you see the lights come on. And again, when I switch it off, and that's it. The lights go out automatic with the pump. And basically I just wired it into the switch side of the pump, so that when the pump comes on, them lights come on, and then when the pump goes off, the lights go out. So that's about the system of the recycling shower. Now I'll go through where and how I'll get my hot water side. Okay, this looks a bit of a spaghetti junction because this is dealing with my heating, underfloor heating as well. So it comes out from a boiler in that far pipe. I don't know if this lighting in here is rubbish, but through that far pipe, comes out there, it tees off and goes into my first coil, because it's twin coil 22 litre calorifier. It goes through coil winding out here, and I can isolate the hot water or switch the hot water on via that valve. And then it goes off, goes into my header tank, from the header tank back down into this second pipe closest to us, and back to the boiler, gets reheated. But where it tees off from, it then tees off from there, goes down into the floor, and this is where my, I think it's about 25-26 feet of PEX piping, underfloor heating pipe, gets zigzagged backs and forwards around the floor, heating my floor. It then comes back from the floor, back up to here, into the header tank, gets sucked from the header tank, back down into the boiler. Now I've got a valve at the front where I can isolate the underfloor heating. So this way, I mean, with having two valves, I can have just hot water, or just the heating on the floor, or I can have both, and I just open both. So I can have either or, none or both. Now you ain't going to want to run your boiler with none of these valves open. You're just going to overheat your boiler. So you got to make sure you got at least one of these taps open, the one at the front or the one at the back. One of them must always be open. Then on this clarifier I've got a 1300 watt 230 volt immersion heater. So if I'm on mains hookup, I can heat my hot water. That's a 22 litre clarifier. I can heat that 22 litre water tank via my mains. That means I don't have to run my diesel heater. Now this little thing here, that's a mechanical thermostatic valve, and as you can see with that metal braided hose, that comes off from the cold water feed and then mixes it with the hot water. So I can actually mechanically set the temperature of the water. So if I was to knock that mixer tap all the way to hot, it wouldn't take the skin off you, because this hot water in here is running at about 90 degrees Celsius. It's not far off boiling, and of course you don't want that coming out. So I've got this set about midway, and I've got my mixer tap set about midway. I am playing around with this to get it right so that I can have the mixer tap all the way on hot, but I'd rather be able to have it on really hot if I want, or medium. So at the moment they're both set to about medium, which I find quite comfortable. This is your blow off valve. So if that water in there, excuse the kids shouting down the road, if that water gets too hot, and obviously pressure builds when the water gets hot and expands, this valve here dumps all the water from the cylinder out of this pipe here and into my grey water tank. Now the only reason why I've done it into my grey water tank and not straight to outside is because when I want to empty this tank, I open that valve and it empties into my grey water tank, and then I can empty the grey water tank as and when it suits. So I hope that makes sense. If you've got any questions, please message me and I'll run you through it. I'm going to go and do a diagram now and show you the diagram in a schematic way of how I've set this up. Okay guys, excuse the 4 pieces of paper stuck together. I didn't have a sheet of paper big enough, and I wanted to do it big enough that you could see it. So we're going to start off with doing a bit of a schematic drawing. This here is your catch tank. That's what's mounted on the underside of your van. Then it comes out and goes to the 2 little John Guest inline filters that you saw. Sorry, I should be doing this in blue. So that's blue cold water. Then there's a little bit of pipe in there, and then another filter. So they're your 2 inline filters. They're what's doing a majority of the bulk of the big stuff. Like I said, hairs, fluff from your socks, anything like that. So then it comes up there, up through the floor of the van, through the floor of the van, so your van floor is there. It then comes up into your water pump. So WP, it then comes out your water pump and into your accumulator. And your accumulator, you should have one on your system, because a lot of the water pumps, they're what do you call them, a diaphragm pump, so it pulses, and if you don't have the accumulator, ACC, what it'll do is that pulsing of that pump will get amplified at your tap in. So if you've got pulsing of your water and you haven't got an accumulator, that's why. So once it's come out of your accumulator, it then comes up into your filter housing. Sorry, made a boo-boo. So inside this top bit, it passes from one to the other and then out. So that the cold water comes up through there, into there, it spills from one into the next, and then out. So I said that's a 50, that's a 25, and that's a 5 micron. Excuse my handwriting. Now you can go different sizes of these, but a lot of people use these grades. They work better. Like I said, if you go any finer on that, your pump is going to struggle. It's going to struggle because it'll get blocked up more. And then the finer it gets blocked up, it's just going to struggle and struggle. So I would personally, if I was you, stick with 50, 25 and 5, and you shouldn't get any issues. I manage just fine. So then when it comes out of there, it comes off to a T-piece. One side then goes off to, you got a mixer tap. Can you still see? Just checking my image. Yep. It's actually a mixer. So that cold water comes up there to your cold side. Cold. So as you can see at the moment, all this is cold water. So then your other side, still cold at this stage, goes off to your heat source. Now it doesn't matter what sort of heat source you got. You can use your combi boiler if you got a Truma, if you got one of the old caravan style heaters, it doesn't matter. This is your hot water storage. So then that's hot. So I've done all this, look, and I could have done it on 2 pieces. So then it comes out of there, piping hot. Yeah, you get me? That then goes in to your mixer side. So you've got hot water now. And then what happens then is it comes out your mixer tap, still whatever temperature, so it's a mixture of hot and cold, to your shower head, whatever type of shower head you got. You don't need one of the douche trigger pump ones because, as you can appreciate, you're on a recycling system, so you don't need to trigger it. So you have your shower head there, whatever sort you decide to have, and then your shower tray. So that is a mixture of hot and cold, and of course wherever you put this valve is going to give you a mix of the hot and cold. So you get your mixed temperature out there. So then you get your mixed temperature coming out your shower tray back into your catch tank. Now, of course, you're mixing the water at this point, so the water that's going into your catch tank is mixed. So although it's endless water, if you was to, excuse me, if you was to continue running this forever and ever, that water will gradually get hotter. Do you understand? It wants to balance out because you're mixing it here. All this section is mixing the hot and cold water. So as it gets up in here, this water is going to get gradually hotter and hotter. Not to an extent where it's uncontrollable, but you'd have to be in that shower for 3 to 4 hours. And you ain't going to be in the shower that long. Now I have left this shower going for about 5 hours, and it was on the cold side, it was lukewarm, like room temperature. Because that catch tank is outside, it cools it down a lot. And as long as you keep this heat source running, that shower is going to be piping hot. Now with my boiler system, if I switched it on 10 minutes later, it'd be hot. I could have
2 showers a day off that for an hour each, and I don't have to run the boiler any more than that because it's thermally insulated. You saw that tank, didn't you? So that about breaks up the schematic side of it. I hope that makes sense.
Okay, I said I was going to let you know what I meant by Epsom salts. Now, there's ways you can prolong the life of your filters. There's 2 different ways. Well, there's 3 different ways. I'm going to tell you all 3 actually. First way is you add Epsom salts. Now these have got a lavender fragrance. You can pick them up from your local chemist, and they're about £1 a bag, and you put about a handful in each time you refresh the water. Now that turns me on to my next one, where is how often do I change my water. Now if I was to shower every day, I wouldn't have to change that water for 2 to 3 months. If I was to use it every day, if I lived in the van, we were just weekend warriors. But if we was to shower every day, it'd be lasted 2 to 3 months. Now then that has a knock-on effect with your filters. The longer you leave the water in, the dirtier your filters get. So how often do you change your filters? Well, it's the 51 that's doing all the work. That's taking the bulk of the stuff out. Now if you look back at the video, you'll see the 50 is the dirtiest. Then the next one, the 25, is the next dirtiest, and the 5 is very clean. So the 5 one you'll rarely change. The 25 one, a little bit more frequent. The 50 one, you would change that about once every 2 to 3 months. And they're about 5 for £12 filters. Actually, I think I found some 8 for £12, and they're the 10-inch cartridge filters. The filter housings are about £40–45 from Amazon. I'll see if I can track a link down and pop it below. But anyway, then onto the second way of prolonging your filters, which is you use a biodegradable shampoo, conditioner, shower gels. Now they are rare to find. Even like Holland and Barrett, they didn't have a clue what we was on about. They wanted like biodegradable packaging. That's not what we're asking. We want the actual chemical, the shampoo, to be biodegradable. The only ones we've found so far is Nivea. They do, it says 99% biodegradable. And what that means is it's not made from mineral oils and things like that. It's made from other materials, and they're not as moisturising, but that's where your Epsom salt comes in. Your Epsom salts are good for your skin and your hair. It softens the water, so you need less shampoo and conditioner, so you're only using small amounts anyway. So one helps the other, helps the filter, if you know what I mean. The Epsom salts are helping the shampoo because you're not needing as much. Then that stretches out the life of your filters. Which brings me on to the third one, which is what I do every day, all the time. After we've been away, because we're only weekend warriors, or a week here and a week there, at the end of every trip, I drain down the system, I unscrew the filters, I let the filters drain out or dry out. If you can imagine a fish pond and it doesn't get aerated, you start getting that film of algae on it. Or when you leave a hose pipe out in the sun, when you first switch it on, it smells like pond water. And that's the same if you left the system full of water, same as your freshwater tank. You always drain that down, because if you left it in there, the water's stagnant, it builds up bacteria and it goes off, starts smelling funky. So at the end of each trip anyway, I'll flush all the system out, make sure it's completely drained out, which I advise you to do whether you've got a recycling shower or not. You don't never let that water sit in there stagnant. So you're only doing what you'd normally do. So them 3 ways will prolong the life of your filters. And what I do as well, when I've got the filters out, I'll wash the filters out. So I'm probably getting twice as long as I should do out the filters as if I left the water in there, or if I didn't wash them out. So that about wraps up the system. Again, if you've got any questions, please get back to me. The way I've got it plumbed in at the moment, I've sort of sacrificed my hot water in my kitchen sink. Now if you remember going back, I've got a twin coil calorifier. The first coil is what gets heated off the boiler. Now the second coil, my hot water from my sink goes through it, which gives me about 1 litre of hot water, which is normally just enough for washing up. But 9 times out of 10, you're washing up after you've had a cup of tea or coffee anyway, so you just pour your remaining water into the sink. So what I might even do is even disconnect the hot water for the sink completely off the system, and that second coil I'll run off my van engine, so I'm getting free heat off my engine. So by the time I get to my destination, I've got boiling hot water in my shower system anyway. But I'm going to leave it the way it is at the moment, with the shower, with the kitchen sink running through it as well, because I do get that litre of hot water and it's piping hot, but after about a litre's passed through it, it starts cooling down. So I might go through that. Oh, I'm going to quickly show you what I mean about moving the filters. So as you can see, them filters are tucked right underneath this worktop. I've still got that cupboard door in there, but them filters are tucked right underneath there. And what I've done is I've hinged them, because this is the wheel arch. I've hinged them so I can tip it up to, obviously you got to unscrew the length of the thread. So I tip it up like that, and then I can unscrew it safely. But I'm going to move them to a drawer system here, so they'll slide in there, and then I slide them out to here, and then I change them here. It means I haven't got duct down underneath that. It just means I'll probably get longer ones of these flexi pipes, and that's the only reason why I did these flexi, because I tilt it and it needs to move the pipes. So I'm going to put them on a drawer runner system just to make it easier, but other than that the system must stay exactly as it is, and I'll change that out for a blue one just so I know what's hot and cold. That'll go on a drawer runner along the back here, and I might even put some mirrors in here just to amplify the UV light, bounce it backwards and forwards a bit more. So because we're only using it at the weekends and during the week, you don't really get that build-up of bacteria in the water anyway. You'll get it to a certain extent, but the UV light is coping with it ample enough. Now if I was going longer off-grid, I would get one of these like fish pond UV filters. Now the only thing is they don't do a 12-volt one of those. They only do mains one, so I'd have to run it through an inverter. I don't want to have to run my inverter to run my shower. So I've gone for the LED ones, and they're the only true UV LED ones I could find. And they're in a long strip, and I've just zigzagged it backwards and forwards, as you can see. So, but they do a more powerful one. Yes, they pull more current, but it's only on when the shower pump's on, as you can see. So I'm going to up the grade of those to the more powerful ones, and then when I put the mirrors in there as well, in the filter housing, it'll bounce all that light backwards and forwards a bit more and help break that bacteria down in the shower filters. So anyway, if you like what you're seeing, please like, please subscribe, and please share. If you really feel like it, hit that bell icon and you'll get to see all our future videos. And on that note, we'll catch you on the next one. Bye. Here we are in the shower. We've got a recycling shower, guys. I can shower all day and it don't use any water. I mean, it's steaming my camera up there. I've got this set on medium temperature, between hot and cold. If you put it any hotter than that, it gets very hot. Got this vent here. There's an extractor fan in there. I can shut that off or open it, and it's all right in here. Going to put a bathroom cabinet there. Going to put a soap dispenser on this wall here, where you just pump it with your hand. But look, wonderful, wonderful hot shower, piping hot. I ain't got to worry about how much water it's using. It's just, make sure you don't get my bits in. Just goes down the plug hole. Right, I better get washing.